Welcome to season 2 of Inside Assemble AI. I am Mac, alongside my co host Sam. We are kicking off what promises to be an incredible second season. After wrapping up our first season with that fascinating deep dive into AI and robotics, we heard from so many of you asking for more practical implementation focused content. We want to know, how do leaders actually drive results with AI? How do you build momentum that sticks? And most importantly, how do you achieve even next level performance across profit, people, and purpose without sacrificing one for the others? That's exactly what season 2 is all about. And we are calling this our growth leadership in AI racism. And we are bringing you battle tested strategies from leaders who are getting real results, not just running pilots.
Today's premiere episode is called AI-Enabled Growth Leadership, Performance Without Trade-offs. And we're tackling the big questions every executive is wrestling with right now. How do you turn AI vision into daily execution? What's the minimum viable AI roadmap that actually delivers value in 90 days? And how do you coach teams through transformation while maintaining both speed and accountability? We're joined by Greg Mester, co-author of Change Volume 30, and upcoming author of the book Get to the Next Level, coming soon. Greg specialized in agile growth strategy and business transformation. As an experienced agile coach and program manager, he helps companies break through blockers and accelerate performance using proven PMP, Scrum, and agile frameworks. His expertise spans IT, manufacturing, quality supply chain, and finance, with a track record of delivering rapid, measurable results. Greg, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Thanks, Greg. So let's talk about our first segment about the leadership performance. Let's start with what might be the ultimate leadership challenge. Many teams want next level performance across profit, people, and purpose. What leadership behaviors most reliably compound those three outcomes without trading one off against the others?
Well, it depends on what level of the organization you're at, right? And if you talk C-suite, it's a little different. If you talk middle road, part of it is not doing the work for others just because it'll be faster. And this is the same thing you can apply to AI. And then from a leadership perspective, giving credit to the team in public and private, right? So when you do get to implement an AI solution, it's not your solution. It's the group that works for your solution, right? And what they have to watch out for is they're not claiming they'll get credit for it. They'll get promoted because it'll happen. But if you stand up in front of public and you take credit for all your people, they're not going to want to do it anymore. So you have to just give them credit, just do it. And then owning things in public when they don't work, when they don't go well. And these from a leadership perspectives, if you're talking about high performance teams, how outcomes, is that if it doesn't go well, don't blame your team because you'll just shut them down and they won't, it'll go slower. Take it. So yeah, we're working as a better and explain what you're doing. But those are the kind of things from a next level management leadership perspective. And even at the CEO level and the C-suite level, you have to be mindful of what credit you do take and what credit you share, and then what credit you blame for others, right?
Right. And Greg, I completely agree with that because I am kind of I'm kind of a big follower and huge fan of servant leadership model. So, and I definitely give the ownership because in my team I always try to give enough credits because at the end of the day it's actually a team game. It's not about an individual game. So, and I think that's a very powerful statement that what you just made. Now, uh, transformations, momentum often dies between the vision and the routine. What rituals or operating mechanisms with AI have proven most effective for turning big goals into daily habits on real teams?
When I talk on my 5 a.m. Master Scrum show, and what I do when I go meet with consulting with businesses, It's really breaking those big goals into smaller things that everyone can see progress in. I mean, that alone, allowing them to succeed or fail quicker is going to get them going from that vision to whatever. I've been so many places where we do a vision, we'll figure out a whole year from now. I'm like, we don't know what we're going to do in a year. AI changes every 3 months. And you think you're going to plan where we're going to be in a year? It ain't going to happen. And then make metrics simple as possible. Some people want to come up with this grandiose metrics and very complicated to measure. And you add all this administrative weight to it to collect these metrics. And that also slows down meeting your vision. And then the smaller you make the habit, the good, share it and then share it with others. I mean, and we're going to talk about this, even just using AI. How do you use AI to help you in the daily, like your team, your entire team? We'll talk about that a little bit too. But when they learn something, share it right away. I mean, I've had people where they would learn how to use certain AI to help them code better or do some coding and activities like that. And I was really on. I was like, look, you got to share it. You got to share it. Share with everyone what you did. Don't wait to perfect product. Let them all now dig into what you started for them. And then we'll grow even faster, right? If they wait for that perfect layout of what the AI should work exactly right, you're just not going to get there.
Right. Yeah. And Greg, I completely resonate with that because a lot of, even in our company, a lot of people, they think what exactly they are going to do with the AI. And they kind of, very nervous, like what they're going to learn about it, AI. And also at the same time, like how they're going to implement that. So there is always conflict, and some of them always, even sometimes including me as well, that we sometimes always wait for that what would be the perfect moment when we have the inter framework ready. I think, best way to do it, just start learning, and whatever you are learning, just try to implement that. I think that's actually will be the best course of action. For our next segment for practical AI adoptions, I'm going to pass it over to Sam.
Thanks, Mac. And thanks, Greg. Just to piggyback on what you just said about, the utilization of AI, even if it's a small scale thing, we should still do that. And that kind of like literally resonated with something that I've been doing for my team in last couple of weeks. Like I built a small coding assistant agent, and I've been asking all my senior analysts, my direct reports that, hey, just go ahead and use that agent. See if it can help improve your running a better SQL query, optimize your code. Even if it saves like a 5-10 minutes of your time, it's still a game changer. We can still show that as an ROI to our leadership. And, and I think that's the mindset we should have. That we just have to go and just get our hands dirty and try something, especially in this AI world, since everything is moving so fast. So completely agree with you. I'm glad you mentioned that. It just triggered my memory of what I've been doing, for past couple of weeks with my team in my workplace. So thanks for that. So moving on to the practical AI adoption segment. So now, obviously we all have to get practical, when it comes to AI implementation. It's not like just a rainbow in sunshine that, AI adoption also has its
you're
pros
right
and
about
cons.
that. It ain't all rainbows, no.
So in your opinion, what is the minimum viable AI roadmap? Like if I ask you like, can you please just define 3 use cases that usually produce meaningful business value within a quarter by utilizing AI? Would you be able to share that for our listeners?
Yeah, I want to give you a couple senior leadership and through the organization. Anything you can do in a senior, you can do anywhere else, right? I got this one from Dan Martell, who is one of my mentor coaches. I'm part of a group he created, and he loves AI, and he's hundreds of millions of dollars, whatever. He's up there. He's the guy that wrote Buy Back Your Time. And he is such a proponent of AI now. He challenges, as the CEO of his company, he challenges every person. Before you come to ask me a question, I want you to ask ChatGPT or whatever AI system he has in place what to do first. So before you come and ask me, go ask AI. And he's programmed them all because they all know that's the very first question he's going to ask. So you see how getting this adoption to the minimum viable products, like, did you ask AI before you, no, go back. Go ask AI and then think about it and then come back to me, right? So from a minimum viable product, how could you do that? And it saved his group lots of time. Because I'll be honest with you, I do it too. When we're sitting in the group calls, maybe I have a question and you got to get some things to get done. A lot of times I'll go ask AI before I even get that. I go, well, I already got the answer now because they just asked AI and it just kind of told me what I should do. So I don't even have to ask the question anymore. It saves everyone time, right? Saves the man, him's time and everyone else. Also, I would say, every so often, take questions. Let's say you get used to it. This is one thing I've learned about AI platforms. You may think at one time it was amazing. I was experimenting with my kids in class. Oh, by the way, I'm teaching, kindergarten kids up to 8th grade about AI. Not that they get to use it because they're banned from using it in the school per se, but I show them the capabilities, right? What is the possibilities? And so you think where you are now, wait till they come out. 10 years of doing this stuff. They're gonna be they're just gonna live in this world. But take what you learned in one platform you like, and then try it in another platform. See if that platform is now ahead of the one you were working in or gives a better answer. Don't assume that the platform you picked 6 months ago is the best platform to do what you were doing now. So those minimum viable AI roadmap. So how often you want to change? Let's try this and actually plan to do it, right? Don't let it just, willy-nilly, but put plans in. Okay, take this, try it in these other, find some other AIs, try it out. And then the other time is, and it really helps me a lot. And from a minimum roadmap, you challenge everyone. If they don't know what they want to do, have them like their minds blank, what to do. Have them start with AI, right? And you just test it. How many times did you ask AI when you didn't have an idea or before you started to do it and track it if you need to? If you need to create a little metric in there to track it just for a little while, and then after a while they do it enough, you don't track it anymore. You don't continuously, and that's one of the mistakes people make with these metrics. They establish a metric and think they got to do it forever. But no, just do it for a little bit, get them used to it, make it into a habit. They do it for 30 days. They pretty much know what to do after that, and you really don't have to remind them anymore. So those are the business value within the first quarter. You do those 3 things, you're going to find transformation in that process.
Yep. No, definitely. I totally agree with you that, it just start small, then scale eventually. Like if you see some result, if you start showing value of AI implementation, you can always scale bigger. You can always invest with AI tools. I totally agree with you. So kind of piggyback on that AI roadmap question. A lot of CEOs, like you mentioned, like, a lot of teams, a lot of companies are jumping straight into generative AI, right? Not saying that it's a cool thing to do, or not saying it's a bandwagon, but it's also kind of like, just to test the water, how it's going to happen, how it's going to improve their operational efficiency within the organization, right? Now, if you want to advise a CEO or a leader about why do they start AI implementation, whether it's on the data quality side or retrieval side or even a workflow automation. So how do you actually, provide advice to them so they can stage the capability naturally and also, slowly adapt AI in certain areas of their operations or, functional stuff?
Well, I'm gonna throw you a little twist. I actually would not suggest starting outside of generative AIs. If I was coming in and they don't have anything already, I'd be like, "Are you all using it? If you're not all using it, I want to make sure you're all using it before we go to the more complicated stuff, right?" And do you remember RPAs, stuff like that, where you're programming and you're taking in paper products and doing all that?
Correct.
Did all that. It's like the beginning of AI and how they do it, smart forms, right? The workflow stuff, the first place I would start doing them is like, standard operating procedures. How do you take your there's a difficulty because a lot of times when I was working with business analysts and stuff, and we go ask our business customers, what's your procedure? They didn't want to have one. And half the time I would hire my business analyst to document procedure in the group because they never wrote it down. They just did it. So there's a little bit of that. But what's cool about that is you can have them do voice entry in the AI, their procedures, and you don't have to write it down. And you just have your business analyst kind of just monitor what's going on and what's being entered and making sure the AI is picking up all the nuances. Or you may ask a follow-up question as they're going through. well, what about that? And they'll expand on it. And then the system has it in there already, right? So you don't have to go type it in and then go take it in another system and put it on, go directly in AI. Now the AI will have that procedure and then you can ask it to help analyze and make it more efficient, right? And you may even have it, how would you, that's my alarm for not eating anymore. So I got alarms for everything. But anyway, but that is a way of getting that information in there and making it more efficient without spending a lot of time. But that's what I would start first. Now, let's say you're a restaurant or like an service operation, right? And you have a process, just ask AI if it would recommend any changes to your process or offer new ideas to your stuff, automating items. I mean, I was trying with one of my coffee shops that actually helped somebody kind of own part of it a little bit. And I was just implementing QR scanning cards where they didn't have to do anything. They were in a system of customers. They would just QR scan it, get billed, never had to talk to the barista if they just wanted the good coffee, right? And then the barista would just spend their time making the fancy coffee. It's like they're in a hurry. Go get that, go to work, whatever. But those are the kind of things that, you can ask AI and come up with ways from a time perspective, but you're going to have to collect that data, right? And that's all.
No, I think you just literally mentioned two practical use cases of AI, Greg. And I totally agree with you on the standard operating procedure part, because we have seen in the industry world, people just don't have time to write documentation. And they don't know that how valuable that is, when in terms of knowledge transition or orientation, all kind of stuff. And I believe AI can certainly help us documenting some of the stuffs, either through voice agents or through something like, I could literally just take a code and probably just put it to an AI agent, and that can provide all the step-by-step instruction for that coding, right? So I think I can definitely agree with you that standard operating procedure is a viable use case, especially in the industry world in terms of AI implementation. So thank you for your perspective, Greg. So moving on to the next segment, stakeholder alignment and team dynamics, I'm going to pass it over to Matt.
Thanks, Sam. Greg, wonderful. And I really love the conversation that where it is going. I actually really love both of your perspective on that. And one of the thing I must say, actually, that when LLM came, that, I actually think that it's my guide. So it's my newer guide. 3-4 years back, that when every time I need to ask Google, or, sometimes I had to take some calls to my seniors or to my managers, that this is something that I need some advice on it. Now, when LLM came and, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Grok, so many information that we have. So, we don't need to be dependent too much. Like, even though for any technological stuff, any architectural stuff, any PRD, anything, any research, everything that we can at least have some ideas just to get it done from LLM. So I completely resonate that what you just said. And having said, my next question is, you often emphasize turning no's into smaller yes. Can you share a story where this mindset shifted a resistant stakeholder group and unlocked measurable results?
Yeah, I'll just give an example. One of my clients, when I first got there, they had a project and they're going to revamp their whole back end system, pretty large system. And they were saying it's going to take 2 years to do it. Right. And I'm like, well, no one can be patient for 2 years to see what comes out. It doesn't exist anymore. I don't care what anybody says. So really about like in the agile ways, I made them break it down a smaller module. I said, what kind of modules? What do you all want to do? How would you group the stuff? And you could use AI to help you do that too, right? I like to be honest with you, I'll blurt out everything there is. Put in AI, I said, format it for me, or separate the ideas, see what the concepts are, and then I'll go back and look and see if that makes sense. And sometimes it'll hear something like a child that you did not realize you said, and you go, oh, I didn't even think about that. That's a good point, right? So, and that before AI, I had them break it down to smaller modules. And then we started delivering the modules, working modules, stakeholders. Now you can apply the same thing with AI. Figure out, oh, we want to do this. Okay, start with small things, show progress, deliver something that they can see. And that's just like a requirement or a wish list. And by the time we're done, we kept delivering every month a new, and it doesn't have to be every 2 weeks. It may take a month, or maybe it's a couple times, cycles, iterations to get to where you want, and then you share it. It's fine. It's not going to kill you, right? It's not going to hurt. They were so happy with actually seeing product where they didn't see product before that they kept funding it. So the CIO kept getting funded from the board because we were delivering, people were touching things that he could demonstrate. Hey, we did this module. Look what it does. Oh, cool. That's cool. Here are more modules, right? And then in the end, you talk about like unlocked it. So one of the quotes I got from the executive VP was like, I don't know what he's like, I don't know what we were doing before from an agile perspective, but I clearly know it wasn't agile. Whatever they taught him wasn't, he's like, it wasn't agile. And I'll tell you one other thing. We're never going back to the old way of not, doing what we're doing, cycling it up, demonstrating, giving product, put it in their hand. They were like, we're not doing that again because everyone's so happy. Some would complain that it wasn't like everything, but you have to get them used to seeing something, right? They're so used to not seeing anything. They ask for everything and then they get nothing. So that's where that small little modules that you give them and they work. Ooh, I got something. That's giving me 10 minutes of my time back. I mean, and then another one, just example, we did one thing. It wasn't 100%, right? It was all these forms, you work with things, you fill all these forms, you fill it in. It's like government documentation and legal documentation. And they were able to get it where 50% of the documentation was now automated, right? It wasn't 100%. It was like, dude, you just say 50%. If we had a staff of 10 people, you just have freed up 5 more people to do other things or process more forms to get it even quicker so that the customer is not waiting longer. Because that's good. And it's it's not 100%. It's okay. It's better than it was like a month ago. And it's amazing people have those, it's everything or nothing. I'm like, what are you, nuts? I said, how much money we just saved? And how much time and people? And now you're tying AI into that process that was more different, wasn't as quick as it is now. It's crazy.
Greg, I completely resonate with that because I was having a similar kind of situation. A few years back, I was talking to my data enterprise architect teams, and the task was they will have to create a bunch of historical data, and for that, they had to create some data models. The problem was that they came up with some ideas, different ideas, and it took for them just to create the data models at least 3 months, at least. Now, if I have different CSVs, and if I had uploaded it to the ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever, if I can tell them to create a data model, it will give us the entire structure of how we're going to design the data model. I'm saying it do not need to be 100% accurate. Even it's 70% accurate, still 30%, if we have the knowledge about how to do the data models, we can easily do that. And definitely it is not going to take 3 months. I mean, we can wrap it up maybe 7 days, maybe, 10 days, maybe 15 days max. So I think that's definitely, it's kind of a revolution, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
And now my next question is that leaders grapple with coaching versus commanding. How do you decide when to coach, when to direct, how to communicate the difference so teams stay empowered and accountable?
So it can be difficult for managers to not command and control, right? I try to coach them if you feel like you need to command and you need to dictate what to do. You as a leader need to assess why is your urge there to have to drive it? What is causing you to do that? And then I would suggest sharing with the team what is pushing that driving. Don't think you have to insulate other people. Why you're asking for it, right? Where is it that? And then the other thing is where I see it happen is they do what I would call helicopter management. They drop in, give you something, walk away, and come back. They say, "Oh, you're a self-organizing team. You've figured it out all together." Well, that's not really how it works. It's self-organizing with guidance and coaching from the leadership. It's just not let them go unless they are experienced. I did it 50 million times, and you don't have to do it once you get there. But if they got there, you don't have to command and control. So what I worried about is that where you see the problem, whereas they don't do anything, then they try the coaching thing later on. And then because it's not as successful, they come in and do command and control because they're meeting a deadline and they have outside forces forcing something. And the problem was they never started coaching from day one. Right. So in order to avoid that in the first place, before you get yourself boxed in to have to command what you need to do, you need to start coaching from day one, even pre-day one. The more often you do that, the more you wouldn't have to be in the command and control structure. I mean, I just give an example. Years ago, I had a team from Georgia Tech, a bunch of PhDs, super smart people, did stuff that didn't exist at that time. And now you kind of see it, but we were doing it 25 years ago. So what you're seeing now, we were doing 25 years ago. It didn't exist in the market. And I wasn't smarter than them. Right? They were PhDs. They knew more things about microcircuits than I'll ever know. My goal was just to say, what do I need to help you get what you need done? Right? As a leader, it's not to tell you what to do. It's like, what do you need? What do you need? What can I get you? What do we need? You need time. And then again, sharing constraints that you know about with the team so they are understanding that and they're not surprised. Right? And that really, coaching is a long game approach, and you have to take it. How much time do I realistically have? Right? If it's something quick turnaround and they need your expertise, you become a team member, right? And help answer questions that they have and set them up for. But you have to be aware of that as a leader. Can I apply a long game approach or is it a short game approach? Right? Don't wait till the last minute because you ain't gonna do it. Right? And then you'll fall back to old bad habits. And my goal is to keep them from doing the old bad habits.
Yeah, and one of the things that I have experienced, actually not one time but multiple times, that let's say we have delivery and someone was onboarded new in a team and they don't know how to deliver it, we are simply going to rush. And then, even though we're trying to coach them, but we do not have the time because we have the pressure from the upper level management that we need to deliver it. We have this time frame and we need to deliver it within that time frame, right? So sometimes, and even though that someone is coachable, sometimes even though we have the resources to coach them, but we are unable to do it. So sometimes it's actually getting very tricky.
Yeah, and that's perfect. I was having a conversation. They were talking about, they were calling somebody like an assistant developer, which I hated the term. Don't like it. They're smart people. They're, they can do their own thing. But we were talking about AI and the senior people using AI to provide coaching for the people coming on board. So maybe you don't have time, but maybe if you were actively incorporating how you code or develop or build something, then that person who comes on board can use that as a guide and then ask questions. And then they let the question they want, then they can check in with the senior developer. And then also the senior person should be setting up those junior people for success or newbies. And maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. I know I'll bring it up right now. Dan Martell also has this formula. He calls it the 10-80-10 rule. When you're a leader or senior person, and the same thing applies to AI. This way. And I got my cat Bubbles. She's here. Hey, Bubbles. Anytime I go online, she just finds me. I don't know if she wants to be in these shows. If you want. Here, Bubbles. There's Bubbles. There, she's happy now. If you want to do this, so the first 10%, you give guidance. Here's what I want. Same like AI. You give it your boundaries and all your details on what you're thinking, how you're going to do it. And then your person came on board, or AI does 80% of the crunch time, but then you have to do the last 10%. You have to review what comes out of AI or with your people. And that's the same thing when it comes to this concept where you're coaching in the beginning, let them work it, and then you make sure you come in the back that what they did is what you said. And the smaller you can make, now here's the agile part, the smaller you can make that gap between where you start and go, the better they'll quickly grasp it. If you wait too long until like the day before it's due and you go check what the junior person was going to do, you're hosed. I'll tell you that right now. I guarantee you, as a project, you're probably like, oh my God, what did you do? You can't do that like a day before it's due. You should be doing it like every week, you know?
Love that, Greg. And for the next segment, rapid growth executions, I'm going to pass it over to Sam.
Thanks, Mac. That's great. I feel like this conversation is shaping up really well, and I would definitely encourage our listeners to probably just dive into more about how you can use AI to build your growth leadership, as Greg has been mentioning for the past 25 minutes. So thanks, Greg, for and I do actually agree with your 10-80-10 principle, because I remember I was watching a Steve Jobs video once, and he kind of like coined that principle as well. And I know how difficult it is sometimes for leadership to break their team into that, using that principle logic. So thank you for your perspective. I feel like our listeners are not only gaining some insights from AI enabled growth leadership standpoint, but they're also gaining some lessons from professional coaching standpoint. So thank you for everything. Great.
Yeah,
So
and
now
remember,
moving on to
apply it to people and AI. That's,
yeah.
it's AI is like a child sucking in,
It's
helping
a
you out.
junior developer or junior programmer or
Yeah.
whatever you can name it,
Yeah.
right?
And sooner or later it'll know a lot more. But
Yeah, it
for
can
now,
definitely take any personas.
yeah.
So thanks, Greg. Yeah. So let's move on to the next segment. This is actually the rapid growth execution. And as you've been a professional coach for decades, you worked with so many like small, medium, large scale companies. But let's assume that if a mid-market company gave you 90 days to show growth traction, what 2 or 3 levers would you pull first? And what leading indicators would you watch weekly? And I'm going to add a little twist there. Do you think that strategy has changed in last couple of years due to the strategic execution of AI? So over to you.
So I thought about it, and it's the same way I consult with anybody. When I would identify areas of growth, right, that's in the business, walk through it, ask them questions, and then ask the team how they might get there. If I can come up with all that thing, but what would they want to do? The reason why I do this, because I want them to own it. I'm not going to do the work for them, right? And you shouldn't be, as a leader, say, I'm going to do the work. You want them to say, hey, I want to use this. And then, as an AI expert, I will offer tools or say, here's some tools we can use. But even before we got to that, I would have them as a group incorporating AI. So as they come up with these solutions, okay, how might we do AI? And they might even do some research on their own. Who knows? Even if it's a restaurant or store or whatever, got all kinds of managers that always looking for doing something, salespeople. But then come up weekly goals. So take that, make some weekly goals, make plans. I plan every day for myself to make every week. It's to meet my goal. And I don't always make them, but I do plan it. And then demo and have daily check-ins. And then Scrum, Agile type things, or even we used to do when I worked on the F-18E&F program, we had daily stand-ups for first flight. It's the same thing. Have them check in where they're at, how they're progressing, check-ins of what's going on. Maybe somebody did something, maybe do a little demo. Hey, I learned this yesterday. The faster you can do that, the faster it's going to grow. And then you can come up with sprints, however you do, but demo weekly, like progress. Say, implemented this AI or implemented this new solution with AI. Here's what I got, right? And do it weekly. And also do weekly retro, because you're talking about 90 days. So we're crunching it down. So I want to do a retrospective. What worked? What didn't work? Can we take this idea and give it to them? Like, they do it in a week. Hey, I did this. Did it work better? Yes. Okay. Then next week we apply it to everyone in the organization. Right. So it's a quick, rapid. Yep. Good. Okay. Train everybody next week. And the week after that, maybe we have it implemented everywhere. Right? Train the trainer type thing. And within a short amount of time, everybody's doing that. But it really comes down to weekly time boxes, not forever. And you make sure they understand that pace. And the sooner you're getting that pace, even if it's big, small things, they get used to that pace. And the sooner they get used to that pace, the sooner you get more change in that time period. Because there's so many ways to try this stuff out. And one of the big things is you can't do them all at once because then you not know what worked. Right. So you're better off trying one or two and just trying it and see how it worked. And then if it doesn't work, don't do it anymore. So
Yep. No,
that's how I would do that and getting them to that growth traction in that first 90 days. 90 days ain't long, and it's amazing. It's a quarter, right?
Yep.
Be amazed how fast that 90 days goes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I just feel like, like you mentioned, it's all about that mindset, like you have the 90 days, it's a short time period, but just go try something. Doesn't matter if you fail or not, you're still going to learn something from there. And maybe that you can apply beyond the 90-day periods. You never know. So thank you for, sharing that perspective. And I'm pretty sure our listeners are taking notes of some of these key points and some wisdoms that Greg sharing over this podcast. Moving on to the next question in this segment, how do you balance efficiency plays, like whether it's a cost to serve or cycle time? So especially with expansion bits like new segments, pricing, partnership, and there are other factors like profit and loss improves, right? So how do you actually kind of balance it out? Especially in this era of Gen AI, that how do we kind of make sure that the momentum is keep going and we're also making that balance sheet checked, whether we are going into profit or direction or we're just going down in the loss direction. How do you do that? If you can share your viewpoints on that, that would be great.
So we all know cost is a big driver, right? Money talks, right? I think the group or the leadership group needs to come up front. If you do save time or you save money, how much of that time or money you reinvest back into the AI process? And you agree to that up front. Don't try to, as much as you can, agree to it. Like, whatever we save in that, maybe 80% goes back in AI and 20% goes back to the business, right? Something like that, where a majority of that, I mean, every time I talk to them, they always say, when you start making money, just reinvest it in the process. Just get it back there, expand it, try something new. And that's how you get that momentum growth. I think that's really important. And then it also gives a realistic expectation, right? Because some people may think we're going to get all the savings and maybe you don't, or, 100% of the money you save is going to go right into this other thing and has nothing to do with AI. And that's just going to destroy the momentum that you had. They saved all this money and it just went to something else, right? So you got to do that. And then be prepared to retrain people, right? Versus bringing somebody new. You talked about having a new person come on board. Like I was saying, in the one place, we did a 50% improvement in processing paid work. So in theory, that's 5 people that wouldn't need to do that anymore, but they know what we do. So rather than hiring somebody else from the outside, have them help with the new process in the company, right? And that's also how you save on that P&L, because if you bring someone new in your culture, your business and everything, you got to give them all the culture training. You got to do all this. I never could understand that when they would lay somebody off here and then hire somebody. Well, why didn't you just transfer the person who was here? You already spent all that money in your overall company culture and what you do. And then you got to do that all over again when new people come over. I never could understand that. To my mind, if they know one thing, they can probably learn something else and it'll probably go quicker. And they probably know your operational procedures, all your administrative stuff that you got to do. And we all complain about the admin stuff, right? I mean, that's a big complaint. So that's how those two things, figure out your investment, your return on what you're going to reinvest in it up front. And then try, if you do save any people, figure out where they can go or start training them along the way to adapt to new stuff.
Yep. No, totally agree with you. Especially it's more important in this AI era as like everything is so prevailing, like the automation can be done easily with AI. So we probably need to figure out what is best for my company. Is it like, should I retrain my existing workforces so they can do a better job using AI? Or I'm going to just hire someone from outside and train that person about company policy, business rationals, and all kind of stuff. And also trying to train that people to learn about AI. So it's just always been a feasibility study that we need to do to like which one would actually benefit my ROI strategy better, and just go in that route. And I totally agree with you. Now I know in the industry world we've seen scenarios where people always think about bringing someone new from outside and thinking about that's going to offset the loss, but in reality that is not the case. And I've seen that with a lot of big companies bringing in consultants from outside, think about they're going to change the operation policy, and that's sometimes it's always sometimes it backfires, and I've seen that in my professional experiences as well. So totally agree with you on that part.
Yeah, and just to add to that, it's like sometimes like one of my business models is I offer part-time coaching. Instead of hiring a full-time coach, which you don't need, hire a part-time coach in that expertise. So in these AI products, your team wants to do something. Okay, hire a part-time coach that comes in, trains your existing staff on that particular AI platform model, because there's people out there really good at this, and get them through that learning curve further, right? But this outside coach or this temporary person doesn't have to learn everything about your culture. That, to me, that's like one of the best ways to do it, rather than hiring somebody from the outside that has all that and then going through the whole process. Sometimes it's just getting those insights. I did that a lot, even before AI. I'd have someone go do automation program, teaching people. Just bring them in. We'll learn automation. I'm bringing this guy in. I'll put him in here, or this girl, I'll put him in, and they'll teach you all about automation. Let's go ask all the questions you can, right?
Thanks, Greg. So to move on to the next segment related to AI governance and future readiness, I'm going to pass it over to Matt.
Thanks, Sam. Love the conversation. Actually, we can go on all the topics. But one of the things that you mentioned, Greg, that I completely agree with you. So we should train our existing employees, existing people. I'm very surprised that when I see there are Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies, even like medium level companies, they are firing people, and they are bringing a lot of people from outside. And even though that there are so many good people that they are rock stars in their company, and they are getting just fired. I mean, I think leaders, they should be a little bit of considerate, uh, so that they can train their existing employees, existing people, how they can be more trained. I mean, not just AI, but in other technologies as well, so that they can cope with the newer technologies. Because today's AI, maybe 3 years down the road, maybe something else, maybe quantum mathematics, who knows? So now, one of my favorite topics is AI governance and future readiness. So what governance guardrails, people, process, and policy have you seen enable faster AI experimentation without compromising security, compliance, or brand?
I want to say it in two ways. I want to say it one way where if you don't do it, you're going to get security issues and trademark and compliance brand issues. And the other way, how to make it better. Too many places in the old way would limit who has access to stuff. Or they just do such a small pilot and they wait till they analyze the heck out of it before they release it. And I'm going to give you an example. I've been using Zoom forever. I pay for my own copy. I have my own business and stuff. And I had one client that was talking about, they just started using the AI function in their video, right? And to take notes and stuff like that. And I said, that's great. I'm using from since it started for 6 months. It's really cool. It really helps with when I have meetings and documenting stuff and everything like that. And the person's looking at me like, how did you get it? You're not part of the group, the small group that had it. Because I have it for myself. I've been using it. Don't think that just because you're putting people in this little hole, they're not going off in the AI experimenting. They shouldn't, but they may go ask questions on their own personal AI access because it's cheap and inexpensive. So you need to find a way of getting that into the hands of everyone sooner than later, just to minimize the risk of them accidentally messing with your brand stuff outside. I mean, we've had that where doing top secret stuff. People would use a system that wasn't classified, and we're like, what are you doing? Pull it all the system right away because they liked it, but it wasn't cleared, right? So you got to worry about that. And then, don't be behind the curve of your employees. I mean, your employees are coming up with this stuff. Your job is not to be behind them on the outside world having more advanced tools than you do, because I said, sooner or later, they're going to make fun of you as a company. They're like, hey, I've been using this on my own. I've been using this AI to do my tweets or my stuff for years. Where have you been? Because that will get them in that process, that problem. The sooner you can get it and get them behind that security wall, the better. Just don't leave them in the dark. Don't take forever, right? Maybe have them experiment with stuff or something, be part of that. But yeah, but that's the simplest way to prevent security and the brand loss, is that you got to be ahead of that. You got to have a group just like you in security, like white hat, make sure they're anti, the hackers and stuff like that. You got to do the same thing with AI and new technology, right? It's the new thing. What do we need? What's the next thing? Anyway, I can go on and ever, just like browser versions, right? And people don't know there's like 5, 10 versions up front, and there's 5 or 10 versions below. And if you're really good in your system, and I've seen some really good people that would just automatically keep an eye out for a new version release of, let's say, if I won't say a particular software, they would go up, the machine would just go up. Well, actually would spin up a server, get it all ready, go up, grab the information, bring it down, throw it in the server, install it all, and no one touches it. This is all the computer. Install it all, take all the automated test suites and run them all. And then it would tell you if there's going to be any future potential problems with the browser or the application or whatever it was. And it was all automatic. They didn't do nothing. And then they gave them a list of suite of things that you had to make sure that your created worked. And this was a consulting company that would make add-ons to software. So they were making sure their add-ons were still working in the new browsers or the new things before it ever came out to the general public. They knew months ahead of time, So there's no excuse anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Adding to this, looking ahead for 12 to 18 months, which AI capabilities will most change the work of product leaders, marketers, operations, and how should leaders prepare talent and teams now?
They're all going to change. I was using one thing 1 month. I didn't like what AI was doing. I didn't think the level of performance was there. One day I was trying something in one of my classes with the students, and I said, "Oh, let's try it again." We tried it again. I'm like, "Oh my God, look how quick this is." It was so much better, but there's still AI out there that's not quite there yet. And I tell people, just don't come back in another 2 months and maybe it'll be better. Right. But everything from large model type systems, just the chat GPT, this efficiency. I'm amazed looking at new entrepreneurs who are building AI products out there and building them and releasing them. They're just taking what they learned maybe in their family restaurant business and figuring out ways to change that. So I look at AI every 2 months. I'm serious. I'm not even looking 18 months. I was like every 2 or 3 months, I'm on all of them. I just take what I do. I go on every, I don't know if you want to name names, but I do them all and see if it improved or better, right? Maybe I need to switch over to the new system, or maybe I'll go back to the other one because they just leak. I mean, I remember when, Gronk has a new one or whatever, it blew everyone's stuff away. And I'm like, oh God, how do they get that far? So everything from laying out plans to schedules to efficiency, things you just haven't tried yet, to be honest with you. Every week, and let me say, if you run in Scrum or Agile perspectives, and some people say you can't, but I say you can do anything in the Scrum mindset, or create AI as a story itself, not just what you're going to deliver, but insert into the system. We want to use AI to do X, Y, write a story. Like we want to find an AI package that will improve our ability to write story. improve our ability to write content ads, to improve our ability to code. Make that a story. Put that in the backlog. Assign it to one of the people on your team. Let them go at it, right? And see what it is. And you should be doing that every sprint. If you're not doing that every sprint, you're going to fall behind. I'm just serious.
Absolutely. And I think maybe 12 months, 18 months, I think we should even look for next 1 month, 2 months. Things are getting changed so rapidly. I mean, and it is going to impact in every aspect, like even like, hiring new people, even like the development strategy, even, like investment strategy, customer relationship management, all aspects that we can talk about. And for our last segment for today, metrics and scaling strategy, I'm going to pass it over to Sam.
Thanks, Mac. Thanks, Greg. I know this has been a great episode so far. And just one thing I wanted to say, based on what you guys conversed in the previous segment, is that the change is constant, and especially in the AI era, it's never been so true than that statement now is right now. So we all have to be adaptive. We all have to just get on that AI train and just be innovative and bring some agility on whatever you can do to improve your operation processes or help your company to grow bigger and better. So love that perspective, and thanks for your wisdoms and sharing with us, Greg. So for this particular segment, I have one intriguing question for you, and that is that the question is kind of like, we wanted to just pick on your experience here. Like in your experience, like what do you see like the growth strategies fail most often? Like whether it's in the assumption section or in the sequencing on governance, some are things when, a little just fell through the cracks. So keeping that in mind, how do you think that we're going to keep up, especially in the Gen AI era? How do you de-risk our business, our operation services and stuff by utilizing AI's transformative nature of, or building some sort of framework that can put some guardrails in those areas so we can probably save our business, or, just we can avoid some sort of risk and compliance issues in future. So what do you think, what we should do, by using AI?
Really think it basically, because the way it's programmed, and as it gets better, and this is why you say you start now, you don't wait, you start doing, and it's going to learn different things, and you're going to train it. And that's what people don't understand. You still got to train the AI. You got to teach it some stuff. It's just not out of the box, and they don't understand the iterative process. If you listen to some of these programs and all, how much effort there is to train these AIs. I think just making risk reduction, what I call spikes in your system, that you have this plan, you want to make this happen, just experiments with it as you go, and just throw that in. How do you envision really just trying things out? It may not work. Don't wait to the end to see, oh, we're going to do all this and we're going to turn AI. No, turn AI on first and let it go with you through the process and learn as you go. Right? So if you want to have an AI-centric improvement, that AI should start when you start your process, not after. It's not an afterthought. It's kind of like automated code automation or automated testing. You don't do it anymore, and they'll argue with me and they'll fight me. You automate as you test, and you think of it in the same process as you go. So as soon as you get your final product, it's 90% there, and you just have the last 10% to sink in with what was designed. Same thing goes with AI and how to make these happen. Don't wait to the last minute. Let's throw AI on it and see what it thinks. Start asking the same questions you ask your team. Ask AI, get feedback, do that churn, and help it and train it to think about that, because then you're going to want to use it next time. That makes sense.
So the decision needs to be more autonomous, especially more in the AI era. Like you got to constantly evolving with using AI rapidly, as well as also thinking about what is going to be the outcome, or how I'm going to de-risk, or how I'm going to avoid having any sort of a compliance or any sort of issue. It's just, I feel like even with AI, I feel like we're more agile, as you're an agile coach, and I probably like AI probably making us more agile, and it's also helping us to scale faster than we could have done before. I guess that is probably kind of like the way we can wrap up this particular question.
Yeah, and I experiment with some product owners from like laying out what we wanted to build. They were doing some stuff, and we did it. And AI came up with some stuff that they didn't think about from a quality perspective or a testing perspective. Like, "Oh, I forgot about that." So there is that in that process, right? It'll come back to you and say, "Yeah, you think you covered everything," and AI just picks up on those little nuances that you may forgot. It's just in you, but you didn't say it.
So yeah, to our listeners, so AI could be a partner who's probably going to just not going to finger point to your mistakes, but probably going to assist you with alleviating your issues or maybe de-risking some of the operational inefficiencies, in your business practices. So keep in mind that. So thanks,
And
Greg.
I just want to, you mentioned that as a partner. I did a show episode where I said, in the pair programming world, maybe AI is your new pair programmer,
Possibly
right?
so. Yeah,
You're
I think they're
coding,
already there.
it's reading it. And I know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, you were afraid to have a partner before. Well, maybe now your partner is AI and it's just you and the AI kind of chatting. You're not worried about messing up because what does it care? It doesn't care
Yep.
if you mess up. It'll fix it.
Because we already started seeing that people started even forming company with one employee, like one person kind of forming a company. So I guess they are using AI as their probably like a partner of the company, and we've seen that trend of kind of like forgot the term. It's like single entrepreneur based company where they're using AI to do all the operational stuff, and the human is mainly just delving
Yep.
into the strategy. And
But that's where that 10-80-10 rule comes in play, though. Don't trust everything that comes out. Like I look at some of the Google, the search engine responses, and it's AI generated. And it was one thing I was looking for. One day it had one answer. Halfway in the day it had another answer. And then the next day it went back to the answer it had the first one. And what I realized, it was doing what the algorithm does, and it was looking at social media feeds, and it was using as its answer the most popular answer, which may have not been the right answer, right? So you need to do that look in the beginning, and you need to review and go, why did you change your answer?
Exactly. And that's why human intervention came into the picture. So you
Yep.
cannot fully rely
we
on
gotta
AI
keep
stuff.
yeah
You
we
got to
gotta
watch
keep
out those
human in the loop. Yep.
hallucinations, right? Isn't that what they call it? Yeah,
Yep.
hallucination.
Hallucination. And again, it's a mathematical problem. OpenAI recently published a research paper on that. So it just like some non-deterministic nature of AI. It'll always be there. So that's why we need to have human judgment to verify that.
Yeah, and just add one more thing. My experience with AI is that, well, some people, they have it more sophisticated. There's a point where AI caps out, and I even hear it from the experts who use it all the time. Caps out. You have to stop and just take a step back and stop trying, rethink your problem, figure out where you want to go. Maybe you just take it from there. Maybe it's not ready yet, right? And so many people will spend hours and hours and trying to get it perfect. And it's like, no, stop. And we as humans need to tell people, stop. Stop trying to iterate on it. It's not going to get any better. It is what it is. Try it in another AI or something. Take what I love is when people would take something, an output from one AI, take it, put it in another AI and tell the other AI to sympose it or do something with it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's an amazing thought.
Love that, Greg. So I'm going to pass it over to Mac to wrap up this session.
Greg, this has been an incredible way to launch session 2 with your wisdom and knowledge. And where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your frameworks for AI-enabled growth and also leadership growth?
There's a couple ways. One is if you look up 5 a.m. Mester Scrum, which is up there, you'll find me. If you search in Greg Mester, you'll find me. I might be called the Agile Cheerleader or something like that. And I have a company called Idea Communication Networks. It's actually, we figured out it's been around for over 25 years. And I'm like, oh, wow, it's been 25 years. So it has a lot of stuff. So if you look up Idea Communication Networks or just look up 5 a.m. Master Scrum or find me on LinkedIn, we're on podcasts. We do all the, you talk about AI. I kind of use it every day. I do the Gary Vee thing. I'm in like 30 different platforms every day. You might see me, they're all over the place. So there's ways you can use AI to be everywhere and anywhere. So just look up 5 a.m. Mester Scrum, look up Greg Mester, and you should find me. If you can't find me, let me know, because then I want to know why. I designed it so you can find me anywhere.
And for our listeners, we are going to also add Greg's link so that you guys can check at what Greg's is doing. And you guys can check Greg on LinkedIn in different social media platforms. So we are going to link all of them. And that's the wrap up on our season 2 premiere. We are doubling down on practical implementation focused content this season. If today's conversation resonated, you will love what's coming next. We are diving deep into AI transformation case studies, tactical playbooks, and the real metrics that matter. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Share this episode with a leader who needs this kind of frameworks, and join us next time as we continue exploring how to drive real results in AI era. From all of us at Inside Assemble AI, thanks for listening, and we will see you next episode. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.